Now, on to, on to Harry and Meghan. They were busy on World Mental Health Day, as you'd expect, because it's an issue that's really close to their hearts. They attended the first Archewell Foundation Mental Health Summit in New York. Meghan spoke of her concerns about how her children would be affected by social media. Let's have a listen to what she had to say.
But I will say I feel fortunate that our children are at an age, again, quite young, so this isn't in our immediate future. But I also feel frightened by how it's continuing to change, and this will be in front of us. As I say, being a parent, the days are long, but the years are short.
Esther, given the profile that Archie and Lilibet will no doubt have, she's pretty right to have those concerns, isn't she?
Of course, even parents whose children are literal prince and princesses of the United Kingdom are concerned over the use of social media and how it's impacting younger people. We know that depression and anxiety amongst younger generations have risen mainly as a result of social media, as a result of trolling and hatred and all of that. So she does have cause for concern, and also she and her husband are very well known. They have huge name recognition. I mean, we can, to some extent, draw parallels with the Kardashians. I'm pretty sure if Kim Kardashian's children stumble upon a site with the letter X in there and type in something that rhymes with May J, they will see something very unsavory of their mother that could traumatize them for the rest of their lives. And thankfully, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex don't have that problem in the same way. But if the children were to Google them and all the scandal that came with the royal family, it could have an impact on them. And there's no doubt that all the drama that they've had with the royal family will probably follow them and their children for years to come. I do find it ironic that they're holding a mental health summit. Prince Harry wrote a piece for a business magazine called Fast Company, where he said that social media companies were stoking a crisis of health, of hate, and of a lack of truth, basically, which perfectly summarizes his book Spare, where he didn't seem to have a lot of concern for the royal family, the members of the royal family's mental health when he was revealing intimate details of their lives. I mean, it's impossible to not draw parallels here and highlight the hypocrisy. They were happy to endanger the mental health of their brother and sister-in-law and their father-in-law or father, and in the case of Prince Harry's stepmother, and all of the people that they were happy to write about. And clearly their mental health didn't feature very highly on their list, particularly when compared to the massive checks and that they were awarded from all their shenanigans with Netflix and the book royalties and the interview with Oprah, I assume, and all of that. So I mean, while I do understand their concerns for the impact of social media on the younger generation, particularly their own children, of course, it is ironic, and it's very difficult to take them seriously when mental health only matters when it comes to them and their feelings and their truth. It doesn't really matter when it comes to other people, particularly their own family members, and the public is going to remember that.
Yeah, and look, you're not the only one who's raised that this week. Richard Eden, a royal writer, he posed the same question in the Daily Mail, asking Harry and Meghan, or asking the question as to why Harry and Meghan showed no concern for other members of the royal family's mental well-being. We've got a great photo here of the younger royals wearing, I love these headbands, to as part of their advocacy for mental health, to draw attention to it. But is this here just another example, Esther, of the Sussexes' inability to be introspective and to understand how their own behaviour impacts other people?
Absolutely, and it just shows a level of immaturity. I must point out that at the time that Prince Harry wrote and released Spare, his brother-in-law and his brother and sister-in-law were also parents. So in many ways their experiences could have been reflected in each other. They were both parents to young children. They were both married. They both had responsibilities. To not have any regard for what the revelations in Spare would have on their lives, particularly while they're juggling, royal duties and a young family and being a good spouse to each other, I think actually just highlights how out of touch that they are. I also think it's ironic that Meghan and particularly Harry are always talking about mental health. Well, they don't really seem like very mentally well people either. I don't actually see a healed person when I listen or watch Prince Harry. He's always talking about the same things, about the impact of the death of his mother, which is fair enough. But I don't think anyone would look at Prince Harry and say, actually, I want to emulate him and I want him to become my role model in what a picturesque mental health situation looks like. And that's something to bear in mind as well. Obviously, we know how tragic the falling out between the royal family and the Sussexes has been, how unfortunate it has been, particularly for the Sussex children who effectively have been isolated from virtually all family members that they know, barring Meghan's mother and her cousin. But it is important to highlight these things because it does impact their credibility. They're now the renegade faux royals that are, traveling the world trying to do good, but it doesn't seem like that good is reflected in their own lives, unfortunately.
And just following on from that, we've been hearing stories for months about the strain of fame and on Harry and Meghan's relationship. More reports this week. So what's the update?
So we heard a few weeks ago that following the death of Dianne Feinstein, the governor Gavin Newsom was looking for a replacement in the Senate to finish out I believe 10 or 11 months of her term, and Meghan's name was in the mix. Apparently, she has been socializing with senior Democrats, and apparently she had a call with Senator Newsom to discuss her political ambitions. It's not surprising that she's leaning more towards the Democratic Party than the Republican Party, particularly because she lives in California, and I'm sure she reflects a lot of the political views or the mainstream political views of the Democratic Party. But there have been people that have warned that obviously if she does make this transition into American politics, it's going to be quite strenuous for her marriage to Prince Harry, who's made it clear that he actually is not very comfortable with fame and that sort of life. American politics is a completely different ballgame. The gloves are off effectively, and people don't have any qualms digging up people's past and history. Unfortunately for the Duchess of Sussex, she has a lot of that going on. That she still has this alleged feud with her father and members of her father's side of the family, and they will and politicians will no doubt use that against her, and that will impact undoubtedly the mental health of the Sussexes, but also strain their marriage. And we also have to remember that politicians travel a lot, particularly in the US, which is a vast country. That will undoubtedly have a strain on her marriage and her relationship with her children. She does have some things going for her. Unfortunately, we noticed that in American politics, name recognition is massive. That's how we've seen the likes of many sort of former Hollywood stars move into politics, like Reagan himself. So she does have that as an advantage, being able to have been in Hollywood and have built a bit of name recognition. But we also have to remember she's an actress, and actors and actresses can learn scripts on the dime, and that's a very useful ability to have. Now, will it always come across as genuine? I doubt, even in her time in the royal family, particularly towards the latter end. A lot of the criticism that she received was that she was too polished and too disingenuous and fake, and that didn't really resonate with the British public, who almost saw through her. So while she does have those advantages, it would undoubtedly strain her relationship with Prince Harry. And, it's something for her to bear in mind if she's serious about these political ambitions. I've said that I think she might delay it until her children are a bit older, but you never know. She might feel in her spirit that she's the only one that can save America from itself, and then go on that martyr journey to revive American politics. You never know what goes on in that couple's head.